Can I take your order?
Can I get a tall chai?
A large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti. Yeah, the biggest one you got.
Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Danny.
Yeah. Large is large. In fact, tall is large, and grande is Spanish for large. Venti's the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Look, Dick, venti is a large coffee.
Really? Says who? Fellini?
How much is that? Here's a 10.
Do you accept lira, or is it all
You know
euros
what? Just
now?
keep the change.
I saw Steven say something about coffee in the comments and saw coffee on the intro, and I was like, well, I guess we'll do this one.
I just had a really weird
sound logic.
taste. Yeah, sip of weird tasting coffee. I don't know why the 7-Eleven coffee tastes like this.
What is like?
I don't think it's right.
What does it taste like?
Not coffee.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I went through all this of now I'm like lost in St. Pete because I had to go get coffee. It wasn't even good.
You had to go look for the 7-Eleven and everything?
Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself, but not for the viewers, just Justin. If I can just leave my mom's and like get on the interstate like easily. West 375, yes. But if I go anywhere else, then I have such a hard time getting back on the interstate. But if this sign is true, then I'm homebound.
We're good.
With terrible coffee. So
back many years ago, I guess it's been say 8 or 9 years ago now. I was traveling for a job, and I had to do like facility inspections at different places, and so I stayed with a friend instead of getting a hotel for one of the inspections I was doing. I had a friend who was close by, so I just stayed with a friend instead of getting a hotel. And like the next morning, she got up and washed the coffee pot out before she made a cup of coffee, or made the pot of coffee, and like didn't rinse it out real good. And so like the coffee tasted like Dawn dish soap. I was like, this is why I never wash coffee pots. Like, don't trust women to make the coffee, because they will absolutely try to wash the pot out, and then you're just going to get Dawn dish soap instead of good coffee.
it's also why I don't I no longer go to like a Wendy's or something. Like let's say they open at 6:30. I don't go at 6:30 because I've gotten detergent tasting coffee before. You know, gotta let just like when you go to a bar, you don't want to get like the first draft beer of the day. Not that I do a lot of drinking at 11 a.m. But you know, you don't want that first one of the day. You know, you gotta let a couple other suckers get the first one or two, clean it out.
It's a science to the whole thing, huh?
There it is. You'll learn one day, Mark.
Yeah.
How about the coffee or the beer?
Both.
The beer and the drugs. Your life will get terrible enough eventually. You'll turn to these old pal substances.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You want to tell us about your your experience there? Speaking of the not the beer, the other.
Yeah, no, not really at the moment. No.
He's still reliving it.
Mark's having a hard time recovering from that one.
Yeah. So what's on the docket for today?
This Tropicana Field. I probably can't see it. Went out of sight. A big useless government stadium.
Who plays at Tropicana Field?
That's the Tampa Rays, right?
The Rays. Yeah, the Rays. It's sat empty for like a decade, and now they play there, but it's like obsolete. So they're talking about tearing it down to build a new one, because that's efficient.
I mean,
it's air conditioned and shit.
If the Rays play there, isn't it basically still sitting empty? Like that, nobody goes to Rays games, do they?
They do, but not to see the Rays. You know, it's like because everybody moves to Florida from other places. You know, that when like the Yankees play here, it's packed. You know, with Yankee fans. You know, so it's a lot of that as people come to see the opposing team. Yeah, they've been trying for a long time, but you know, to make it work.
There are more Rays goers than Miami Marlins, right?
Probably.
Miami's always empty unless they're good. Maybe they're good.
Even when the Rays were good, they still didn't like. They still had terrible attendance.
I mean, who wants to go to a baseball game in Florida in the middle of summer?
It's
air conditioned.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's all enclosed and air conditioned. It's actually quite pleasant. Yeah, no, it's nice. I think a lot of it was just the location. Like St. Pete's finally starting to become something. I think back when they built it, it was just like, yeah, you didn't want to get stabbed, so you didn't go to the Rays game, you know. But they've been talking about moving it for years. They've been talking about moving it over to Tampa next to the Hard Rock Casino, and there's a big like amphitheater, and the state fairgrounds are right there. I mean, I'm not like I don't have a degree in city planning or anything, but it kind of sounds like a good place for something like that. They were back before California got the high-speed rail, but they still haven't, you know. But like 10 years ago, when Florida was supposed to get it, it was supposed to go between Orlando and Tampa. I'm like, that would have made sense. But of course, in reality, it never would have got built for budget because things don't. I mean, with California. But anyhow, I'm not a city planner. I'm going to shut up now.
I
That
just
all
think
sounded
it's
good to me.
I always think it's so funny that they do like all of the big spring baseball leagues are in Florida, and Florida is supposed to be like this big baseball place. And then anytime you watch a Marlins or a Rays game on television, like the stadiums are just completely empty. There's nobody there. It's like, baseball seems to really be booming in Florida.
It's one of the few warm places
up early. That's all.
March. Yeah.
Yeah, we just we just warm up early, so everyone's got to. Yeah, we've got. Let's see, the Dodgers have their spring training in Lakeland. I think Yankees in Tampa. Yeah, they're all down here somewhere.
I think the Cardinals do theirs in St. Pete or somewhere in that vicinity.
I'd buy that. Yeah.
I think the Tigers are in Lakeland.
Yes. Yeah, the Detroit Tigers. And we have the minor league team, the Flying Tigers. There is pretty fun too. When I go to the minor league games. It's
Flying
fun.
Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
Minor league games are awesome. I think it's because they try a lot harder. Like the major league teams they're already there, but like the minor league guys are trying to get there. But then you also get like the guys who definitely shouldn't be there. Like they got called up for some reason because somebody got hurt or something. And so you always get like some fun of like a goofy error or something. Like going to Louisville to the minor league team there, or when I live down in that area, like I go to the Little Rock minor league team game from time to time. The minor league games are a lot more fun than the majors for me, just because it's a little more like real baseball.
It's a little like rougher, you know what I mean? It's not as like corporate and Disney as like a stadium. And then there's also like parking is less than 100 yards from your seat. You know what I mean? Like it's just you're not spending $80 in like food and parking and all the other bullshit. You know, everything's just more affordable. It's just all the shit that I hate about big events, you know, just sort of taken away, and it just becomes an actual fun thing you can go do instead of a nightmare.
Yep. All right. So what are we talking about? Oh gosh. Steven says he would rather watch.
Oh, let's see what's going on here. Corey says baseball sucks.
Steven says he would rather watch commie soccer.
Than baseball? Ugh. Jeez.
Yeah.
That makes you a commie.
I'm not a fan of watching either, but.
Well, baseball's fun because you don't have to like be that like intent on it. Because I don't really pay that good attention. So baseball's good because you can just sit and bullshit and pay. You know, nothing happens quickly.
I fall asleep at the baseball games I go to.
Why you need to start drinking, man?
Yeah, our fans are not baseball fans. Our fans, our watchers are not baseball fans.
I love a good game of baseball, especially like if you've got a really good hitter going up against a really good pitcher. Like there's a lot of like cat and mouse game that's being played, and like the way watching a well-managed baseball game is a lot of fun. I get why people don't like baseball. Like I don't like a slugfest. I don't want to watch a 10 to 12 like, you know, everybody's just rounding the bases nonstop. Like I want to watch a 1-0 like pitchers duel where there's a lot of strategy and like
there's a lot of strategy on kind of like a turn-based basis, which is very different from a lot of other sports, you know.
Apparently they have done away with like outfield or infield shifts for hitters who can only hit in one area, it seems.
That's stupid.
Which
that's
kind
like
of does
why
away
would
with
you
the strategy of the game.
Yeah, they're trying to make baseball a more high scoring, fast paced game, and that's not baseball. Like they need to stop with the bullshit. Like quit tightening up the ball and making it a home run type sport. Like let it be a game of strategy, and like it's a thinking man's game to a large extent. Like
this is why I was against. They wanted to find a way to get rid of hack-a-Shaq in basketball. I was like, Shaq just needs to learn how to make free throws.
Yeah, learn how to hit fucking free throws, and then this isn't a problem. They
Niall put it.
The rules to.
Niall put it pretty good recently to me. He's like, baseball is an individual sport, kind of disguised as a team sport. Which it kind of, like you're kind of with the strategy and the stats and everything. It kind of is. It is a little bit different, like that. It sucks that they want to change it. I think they're doing that to soccer too. And I don't give a fuck about soccer changing up. But I think they're talking about getting rid of ties and shit in soccer for the next. Because they got to make it more exciting. You got to get as much market share. You can't just have something that just some people are into. Nope. Hockey's got to have a fucking diversity fucking manager to try to get black people into hockey. God forbid people just like what they like,
We didn't talk about the trans hockey league, did we? Did y'all see that?
Oh, that sounds rough.
I didn't even want to click on the article or whatever it was.
I just saw that they were doing like a trans hockey draft, and then they closed down comments on and made the post private so that nobody could actually comment on it after. It didn't take long for them to shut commenting down on that post.
Does this mean they were doing their own separate league for trans?
See, that's what it looked like to me. And if that's the case, if that's what they're doing, okay, cool. That's the way it should be done. If you have a women's hockey league, don't let trans women into your women's hockey league. Create a hockey league exclusively for the trans people and just let them go play hockey against each other. If that's what they're doing, cool. I'm fine with it. I think it's kind of silly, but at the same time, cool. That's the way it should be done. If you're going to have that many people participating in the sport who identify in that way, then let them have their own thing and let them just go do it. Then there is no there's no complaints of competitive advantage. You also don't risk if it's a trans woman becoming a man playing in the same league as trans men becoming women, then they're all going through similar hormonal imbalances. So there's not a huge risk of if you put a trans female to male in the NHL, that person's gonna fucking die, right? But then if you put
they're not making it for very long.
If you put a trans male to female in a female hockey league, then that person's going to go murder people. So put them all together and just let them kill each other, whatever. Not actually we're not talking about gladiator style kill each other, but at least they're all in a similar state of hormonal imbalance. So it makes it a little more even for everybody.
So I got to take a second here to tour guide with you guys. We're currently crossing over the largest, whatever technical type of suspension bridge this is in the world, called the Sunshine Skyway. There's the ocean. There's the suicide net newly installed to keep people from killing themselves. If you saw a minute ago, I haven't jumped. If you saw a minute ago, we saw the old Skyway bridge. That is now a fishing pier. Back in the 80s, the old Skyway drunken container ship captain. And 50 people died. So we're on the new one that they rebuilt. Bigger and better. Here we go. We're at the top.
We appreciate that.
I think they're repainting the cables.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay. Hey, sorry to interrupt. I've tour guided.
No.
You got a future in that line of work.
If the whole farm thing doesn't work out,
that.
you can just be a Florida tour guide. Get a big ass bus and drive people around. Be yeah, up here on your left.
I get pretty mean farm tours.
Here's an alleyway where I once. Oh, never mind. That's not part of the tour.
Here's an alleyway where I once learned that you check before you hire the hooker. What do you got going on?
Like I'm gonna
Hey
need to
man,
see the
15
goods
bucks
first.
looks like a woman to me, huh?
$15 is $15.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's a good deal, man. Sounds like a woman to me.
You're still drinking that coffee though, huh?
What else am I supposed to do? It's terrible, but it's
It's
like
either
really
that or
weak, I
nothing.
think.
Right, it's either
Yeah.
that or no coffee at all. So like, you take the I drank all of my coffee before we even got halfway to the school, and now I'm on the way back home from dropping the kids off from school and I have no coffee. And there's a Starbucks up here on the right, and
He's gonna do it.
I'm not gonna do it, but I've been thinking really hard about doing it. But hearing Dag talk about his bad 7-Eleven coffee, that like I can't do it. Plus I know there's gonna be
Starbucks is gross.
I know there's going to be a line wrapped around the building, and I just don't feel like sitting in a line for that shitty of a cup of coffee. Like,
And if you know, the closer you get to that building, the closer you are to. I would like a soy latte, please, with no sugar.
I mean, at least I got a drive-through, so I don't have to actually listen to other people be retarded inside the building. Like, I can just stay in the truck and listen to you retards instead. But yeah, I mean, there's a certain energy that comes off of that and just doesn't sit well with me.
Oh, I hear you. I don't get the appeal, dude. I just fucking don't get the appeal. And you hear, I'll hear podcast hosts or whatever I listen to talk about, they go to Starbucks and they talk about like it's $20 to go there and stuff. It's like, it's fucking insane, dude.
I've never spent $20 at a Starbucks. Someone's
Maybe
really
it's in
getting
California, New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably someone getting some special kind of drinks too.
And so they're getting a little bit of cinnamon added in there and a little nutmeg and the extra foamy stuff and like.
I guess Starbucks isn't isn't for people who get black coffee.
No.
It's like give me a black coffee. I'll take 1 cream, 1 sugar. Like what's that? Never mind.
7-Eleven gave me a free muffin.
Hey. What about
like, you want a muffin? No. Like, it's free. I was like, yes.
Now, what about like Dunkin' Donuts, their coffee? And
gross. I'll drink it, but it's not great. Neither is McDonald's these days.
Oh wow,
McDonald's used to be good.
There is nobody at the old Starbucks. That's kind of impressive. Usually, there's a line all the way around the building.
Now he's gonna go back.
Hell no, I'm already past it. I don't turn around. That's one-way trip.
But he tells his women, I don't look back, baby.
It's all right. No going back.
You fuck it up with me, that's it. Yep.
I once, when I lived in Arkansas, I decided on my trip, I was going back home to see my parents for a weekend. And the way that the normal GPS, like the fastest route, took you where like you would go north for a while, but then you would have to take this road and go back south. I was like, this seems so stupid. It's like, I'm only going to go north and east. We live northeast of here. I'm not taking any routes that require me to turn around and go back south or go back west or something. Like, I'm only going to take roads that go north and east. And that turned a 4-hour trip into 6 hours, and I never made that mistake again.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done that. Compass says west. That's where we're headed. We're headed west.
God, I was so lost out in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in Missouri. It was cool, but definitely not where I wanted to be.
The sign switch from Missouri to Missouri. You know you're deep.
It's like, oh shit.
I'm over the bridge, so I'm smoking. I gotta stay sober till I get over the bridge.
What changes over the bridge? Oh,
yeah.
You just worried you're gonna wreck on the bridge?
Yeah, my anxiety. That's what changes. I get over the bridge, and there's not a stoplight to be had.
Once he gets over the bridge, then everything else to the wind.
I guess I just don't think about that shit. Like, I don't have any kind of anxiety whatsoever, like ever, about anything. So it just doesn't even occur to me.
You get anxiety when things are not in the special order that you want them to be.
That's different though.
Yeah,
that's
you
OCD.
text us all the time bitching about your family. Yeah, come on.
That's different though. That's not anxiety. That's the OCD. That's anger.
When I was like 20, I was at work and whatever happened, low potassium or something, doing too much drugs, I don't know. I was sober at the time, but I passed out, collapsed, and like hit my head real bad, and they fucking took me to the hospital and ambulance and shit. And like 2 weeks after that, I was driving one day and I thought I was going to pass out again. I started getting like vertigo-y or dizzy. And I don't know, ever since like then, it's like sometimes like I'm on the interstate and just, I don't know, I'll get like this like vertigo-y thing and I'll feel like I'm like falling. But it only really happens if I'm like on the interstate and it's like there's traffic and shit. So I don't know if it's just anxiety or if I fuck my head up or if there's something wrong with my eyes. I'm not sure. I just know what causes it, and I just know when it gets triggered, and I just avoid it. So I try to be careful on busy interstates, crossing a narrow bridge under construction that's 200 feet off the water. I just wait till I get over that hump.
Yeah, and you don't know who built those things.
Somebody in the government, obviously.
Yeah, and construction workers are on all sorts of drugs. So if you think your construction workers are sober, I have news for you. They are not.
Also, you said it's a new bridge. I don't know. I'm a little more wary of the new bridges they build these days than the old ones.
Well, the old one did fine until someone hit it with a ship. So I don't.
It usually does.
So yeah, yeah. So in fairness, the old bridge might still be there today. Who knows? There's a Family Guy, and I think Peter Griffin talks about. You ever have like when they build a new bridge next to the old bridge, and you look at the old bridge, and you think, man, I can't believe I used to use that. Like, they had to reconstruct Lois's vagina after Chris was born, and so he's like, I had to build a new one right next to it. Well, I actually do get that scenario, and I drive over this bridge and see the old bridge, and you go, huh, man, can you believe people used to use that bridge?
I have not seen that episode.
No. Have you ever used a new vagina versus an old vagina? I personally have not.
I think there's only one. I feel like there's only one scenario where you're going to be using a new vagina, and I don't think anybody on this show is probably super interested in that. So
No.
We talked about that in the last episode, I think.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah, because we had that video of that person who was talking about having to, what was it, dilate the thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's some weird shit going on with it. It's just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're telling me I've got a perfectly functional dick that just hangs here and requires absolutely no attention from me whatsoever other than to clean it once in a while. Or
Once in a while.
Or I can get this other thing that has to be like taken care of daily. It's like, fuck all that.
Pass.
Yeah. Even just like a regular woman's vagina is too much maintenance for me.
I know, like whenever my wife shaves hers, there's like pulling on stuff and trying like I'm like, what the hell? Like I shave my balls.
Call you into spotter?
It's just like wop wop wop, done. I don't even care
Welcome
if I
to
get
the morning after, guys.
I don't even. Shaving my balls seems horrifying. It's not the smoothest surface.
I don't even need to get all the hair, just in the main itchy parts.
Itchy parts. Oh shit.
So what happened over the weekend?
Mark got real uncomfortable all of a sudden.
Oh shit. Well, okay. So me and Justin were talking about something before the show started. We were going to talk about it during the show. So I was talking about my older family members who seem to be having more sudden health problems. I was at a funeral for my aunt this weekend, and she passed. Not for too much family business out there, but she passed relatively suddenly. It's like neurological thing. Otherwise, she seemed to be in pretty good health. I've got a few other family members that seem to be in pretty good health that are coming down with weird, debilitating health conditions. And I don't know, there's the possibility, I'm getting older. My family members are getting older. Maybe that's just happening. You know what I mean? But it does seem like a lot of it happened after the last year, and a lot of people got a certain medical treatment. So I don't know. Is it causation, correlation? What the fuck's going on here? I don't know. I'm just looking at them, and they're all half vegetarian, and I'm like, I need to eat more meat.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask
a logical choice.
Yeah. I was going to ask a question. Did they also get the extra rounds of that thing, or did they just get the first one? Because like my grandmother and my
don't know.
aunt both got the first one, and they're both and they both felt pretty shitty after they got it. My grandmother's 91, and like she got the first one, and after the first one, she got to feeling really bad, and she got over it. But then once she got over it, she's like, "Fuck that! I got one. I'm not getting any more. Like we're not going back for round 2 or boosters or anything like that. Like I got one of these things, and I'm done with it." And that was kind of the approach my aunt took as well, and they're both perfectly fine. My mom got the thing, and then she also got the round 2 and some boosters and or at least one booster, and she's just seemed like weird as fuck ever since I mean my mom was always kind of weird anyway, but like it's gone like extra loopy off the rails. Like she's way weirder than she ever used to be. It seems like it's like messed with her a little bit, like her brain's not firing on all cylinders anymore. And yeah, I mean again, like my mom's pushing 70, so maybe she's just getting older, but it seems like it really became prevalent after she did a certain thing.
My mom's got some sort of tremor thing, like she shakes, and she didn't before, and I asked her about it finally, and I guess her doctor said it's normal for women of her age or something, but I don't know, it doesn't seem good, you know. So I don't know if it's related or whatever, or again, not eating meat her whole life or much. I've been learning about that. Yeah, exactly. She's almost 70, so who knows? That's why I'm trying not to like point blame when there's whatever. My grandma's 95 and like pretty healthy. Like it's crazy. I'm sure she's had her things too though. My dad's had his and he's fine. He said he's not getting any boosters though because it's nonsense. Oh, speaking of which, I heard a commercial from Pfizer the other day. They're like, you have to get your booster every 2 months.
It's 2 months now?
according to Pfizer, according to the company who makes it, yeah. But yeah, every 2 months they said. Yeah, God.
Really effective, sounds like.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Well, it's so effective, you have to get one every 2 months. Otherwise, it doesn't continue to remain effective. My son, he had a doctor's appointment last week to look at his, like some of the meds that he's on. He's on some ADHD stuff, which he just needs his ass beat more. He doesn't need any ADHD medicine, but that's my opinion. I don't know.
I think ADHD people just need to not be sitting in a fucking classroom. Like that's like I think some people aren't meant to sit in classrooms personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. But so anyway, he had a checkup for all of that stuff, and they went ahead and gave him his flu shot while he was there. And I was super pissed about that. I was like, dude, I've told you multiple times, like, tell your mother you're not doing this. If she continues to try to make you do this, tell her you're going to come live with me full time because you're not doing it. And he's too much of a pussy, and so he always gives in and lets her do it. And you know what? He got his flu shot just the other day, and guess what? Today, he's sick as a fucking dog. Like, every year this happens. They get the shot, and then a week later, sick as a dog. Like clockwork.
Yep. My new doctor just told me, oh, you're going to use your flu shot. I'm like, I've never had the flu in my life. I'm not going to get the flu shot, dude. That's so stupid.
I don't even know what the flu is anymore. I've never heard of this thing.
Yeah, I've never
had it.
I've never had a flu shot, and I've never had the flu. My mom, when she was a teacher, she got a flu shot every year, and she got the flu every fucking year. You know what? Since she stopped teaching, she doesn't get the flu shot anymore. You know what she also doesn't get every year? The flu. It's amazing. I asked my son this morning, I was like, how many people in this country do you think get the flu shot? He's like, I don't know. I said, it's roughly 42% of the population. I said, how many people do you think every year come down with the flu? He was like, I don't know. I was like, it's roughly 42% of the population. Is there some overlap between those? I would fucking guarantee it.
Yep. My doctor, she's like, what if your parents had decided to not get you your vaccinations? I was like, oh man, I ask myself that every day. I was like, I might not have half these problems, dude. I don't know, but we don't want to go down that road. That's not a conversation we want to have.
You're like, thanks for bringing up that trauma again.
Yeah.
I already think I'm Superman. I might literally be fucking Superman if they hadn't done that.
if I hadn't gotten those post-Fauci shots, yeah, man, those late 80s ones, those ones that worry me.
Dag might have a functional heart. He could have actually been a track star.
I might have a functional brain. Who knows?
And the drugs might have something to do with that one. But yeah,
I might not be on the drugs. I might not have needed the drugs. That's my point. I might not have been so messed up in the head from whatever happened that I've got all whatever undiagnosed ADHD and autism,
I definitely think about all that stuff a lot because, like, for whatever reason, like, especially with my son and his ADHD and some of the other, and like he's got IBS and some other stuff. I'm like, man, like if we hadn't done all of those things, maybe we wouldn't be having these problems. But then, like at the same time, my daughter, she's a lot more built like me, and so she doesn't have any of those problems. And so maybe it's a combination of those things with certain genetic tracers that like makes a person more susceptible to it.
Yeah. It's funny when I get to hang with my sister, which is rare, but like I did yesterday, we get out these we were talking and we kind of both came to the realization we both have really nervous parents, never really realized that before. And they're nervous in different ways, but it's like, oh man, then how much of that is nature versus nurture? Because me and her both kind of have some anxiety. So it's like, did we inherit that genetically, or was it just growing up around people who were nervous, and there's benefits, like we're never late to things. You know what I mean? Both of our parents were never late to things, stuff like that. So there's good things, but it's like, yeah, how much is nature versus nurture? And I always wonder that in all aspects of life. That's always fascinating to me, is like, what's the nature versus nurture? How the same are we out of the womb versus not,
Yeah.
I mean, that part of it is really interesting, especially having kids. Like my daughter, like immediately, she did not want to be held. She didn't want to be touched. Like when she was a baby, she wanted you to lay her in the middle of the floor and leave her alone. And my son was the complete opposite. Like he wanted to be held all the time, and he'd cry nonstop if he wasn't being held, and like, he was a little puss. And that has kind of carried over as they've gotten older. Like you see that very clearly and very distinctly between the two. Like he wants a lot more attention and needs to have that more, and so he's been given that a lot more, whereas she doesn't want that, and so she hasn't. And they definitely have very distinctly different personalities and everything. Like she takes after me a lot more, and he takes after his mom a lot more. And it's interesting having small versions of yourself to care for and watch, like grow up and see all that stuff kind of play itself out. Like there is a lot that has to do with the nature versus nurture, and just the amount of time and attention you spend on them. I think my son probably could have afforded to have been treated with a little less nurture, and he probably would have been better for it, been less soft. But I don't know, maybe that's.
But there's different personality types. Yeah, and that's something I've been learning a little about and watching lately too. And it actually helped me a lot, because when, like me and somebody, like I'll meet somebody and it's somebody like I think we should get along really well, and it's not that we don't get along, but something just does. Oh Jesus Christ! There's there's just something that doesn't quite click, and I'm like, oh, maybe just different personality types. You know what I mean? Like I'm really like, hey, what's up? Blah blah blah. How you doing? And some people just aren't like that, and so to me that might come off as, oh, they don't like me. And if they're just not like me like that, so sometimes, stuff like that happens. So it is really interesting. And like you say, cause same with me, man. I've always been like a nice guy, and I'm like, oh man, maybe if I had been beat up a little more when I was young, I don't know, but maybe it's just a personality type, It's strange. My sister was talking about watching my mom with, the grandbaby. So my sister's seeing the person who raised her kids, and so she's getting to have like a introspection on how she raises her kids and how she might have been nurtured into raising kids. And she's like, yeah, it's where I'm realizing a lot of my issues as a parent watching mom with the kids. Yeah, it's funny.
It's always interesting to me seeing like my friends who are adopted develop or get some of the traits that their non-biological parents like kind of passed on to them through nurture.
That's a really funny thing with Nadia, because she is very similar to me personality wise, and that's not my biological kid, but I think that is a lot of my influence that is rubbed off on her, because she spends she spends more time with me than she probably does with any of her other parents. Like I've been around more for her life than her dad, and then like with the way our work schedules have always been, I've been at home more with her than Stephanie has been on a lot of days. So she does spend a lot of time with me. So like my personality has definitely started to show in her.
Are you guys getting anything like those insurance commercials, like Becoming Your Parents, where you just like see this big thing, like, holy fuck, I am in this regard, whatever it is, exactly like my dad. What the fuck happened? And especially when it's something you hate about your parents. You guys have anything like that you've noticed?
Not yet, fortunately.
I probably do. I can't think of a specific one right now, but there are definitely things there. I don't know, something. I mean, a lot of things I've inherited from my parents, I'm not too upset about. Except for this bad back.
I get some of the nervousness and anxiety things that like I don't like, but then again, like you said, I don't necessarily mind it in a lot of ways because like I like that I'm not late to shit. Like I think that's a good personality trait, you know.
Yeah. So my mom's late to everything, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm late to the stream quite a bit. So.
My wife and her parents, they're all late to stuff. It's funny, I bitch about it. And they're like, yeah, you can blame us for that. That's our fault. I try, like my dad especially, I'll get like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but just the way he has conversations. Sometimes I'll notice the same thing. I'm like, ooh, I don't like that, you know. The kind of I try to be a little less, not judgy than like my dad, but a little less like,
abrasive?
Like just the way that I do things is the right way because I figured out the way to do it. You know what I mean? And it's so instead of telling everybody the way to do, oh no, don't do it like this, do it like this. Like, oh cool. You know, just don't let it bother me that they do it some inefficient way. You know, shit like that. I try to be easier to live with than my dad is.
It's probably a good thing. I don't know.
That makes it sound bad. It's not like he's like evil. He's just, you know, it's just like he can just be tough to live with. Like, yeah, he's very particular about the way shit gets done, and if you do things differently, he's gonna let you know about it. You know, that's all. And his way probably is superior. I'll give him that, but you know,
I do think it's funny watching my parents with my kids versus the way my parents were with me, which I got a little more of the strict and disciplinarian side of stuff as a kid for whatever reason, and even more so than like my brother did, like way more so than my brother did. And so like I watch my parents with my kids, and they're a lot more like loose and just kind of, you know, laissez-faire with them. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, smack that kid's head and expect, or you know, demand the same level of like behavior and stuff from them that you did from me. Don't be pampering and babying them. Like, so I'm definitely more of an authoritarian type of a parent. Imagine that.
My grandparents were not the pampering type.
No,
they weren't like the traditional, like where you go to grandma and grandpa's house and get spoiled. Like, okay, like grandma made like good food and gave us sugary cereal and shit, you know. But definitely grandpas, they were like, don't sit on the arm of that couch, boy. You break it off, I'll break you off. You know, shit like that. You know, very gruff. Finish your bacon, boy. You know, yeah.
Don't you leave a piece of food on that plate?
I mean, it was good old timey wisdom. I mean, they weren't no wrong. I was probably being an annoying little fag at the time. They're like, shut up, boy. You know. So.
I'm sure you probably were.
I was actually very quiet, well-behaved child.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Wait, so I can't remember the who's older between you and your brother again, Justin? I can't remember.
Me, I'm the oldest.
Okay, yeah. So that's how it usually goes. The oldest is the one the parents are most strict with, and as it goes on down the line, they become more loose and permissive.
My grandmother was relatively strict too, and the kids will do something every once in a while and be like, if Mama saw you do that, she would beat your ass. And they're like, we do that at her house. I was like, so what you're telling me is she's gotten soft in her old age. I'm like, I see how it is. I remember getting my ass beat.
Our
I was also my grandmother's favorite. Like, so she probably didn't beat my ass as regularly as she should have.
Did she use a tool or just her hand?
Just the hand.
No big wooden spoon. That's a grandma move there.
Yeah.
Nah, usually just the palm of the head right upside, palm of the hand right upside the head. Just wow. Very unexpectedly too. Like you didn't even realize I was doing anything wrong, and then wham, right upside the head.
Niall
My
says,
grandpa was a thumper. Wow.
And grandpas always have those like hard, bony hands too. That's like extra hurts.
Niall says his grandma would pamper him while his grandpa told him lies about his military service.
Lies about it.
I killed city men.
Yeah, usually if like, especially like World War era type or Vietnam type veterans are talking about their veteran service, then they're lying because most of them didn't actually come back and talk about that. The ones who actually experienced the shit. So maybe that's the case with Niall.
My granddad's oldest brother was a bomber pilot towards the end of World War II, and they got shot down and he got taken prisoner, and he wrote a short book about it for the family. But mostly, like, it wasn't any like traumatic, crazy war stories. Like, it was towards the end of the war, so they took really good care of them because they were planning for prisoner exchanges once the war ended. Like, at that point, they knew they lost, and so like they're planning for prisoner exchanges. So everybody kind of, basically the way he explained it was they gave you a vest that you wore when you were out on the property, and the vest had a big red X on it. So as long as you stayed within the boundaries of where you were allowed to go, you were fine. But if you tried to wander off, then they would shoot your ass. So like you really had free run of this place to do whatever you wanted as long as you didn't try to leave. And like they took really good care of everybody because, like I said, they were expecting prisoner exchanges once the war ended. So like,
well, I'm to understand they were banking on it because I heard stories that like when it came down to the end, it was very obvious, that Germany was, it wasn't going to happen for them. But it came down, they were between like Russia and the U.S. and they were like, well, we're going to go to the U.S. side because if we're going to be taken prisoner by somebody, we want to be U.S. prisoners, not Russian prisoners. POWs. They're like the United States won't torture us quite as bad as the Russians will. So I think they were really not only banking on like the prisoner exchanges, but like they really wanted to be United States prisoners. And I mean, then they got ushered into the U.S. to become NASA employees. So it all worked out for them.
That goes back to that whole the most natural enemy of communists is Nazis, and they really hated each other. So if you got taken prisoner by the Russians, they weren't going to be all that cool with it. Whereas if you got taken prisoner by the Americans, like they didn't really have a dog in the fight. Like if Japan would have stayed the fuck out of it, then we wouldn't even we'd have never been involved, and the Nazis probably would have taken Europe.
Well, yeah, because both sides. I mean, Germany had done some really terrible things to like Russian kids, and they'd done like some invasions and some mass rapings and disfigurings and stuff like that to Russian people. So they were like, yeah, we kind of got it coming if they catch us too, But all those cultures, like I think like the Russian and everything, just for centuries, has just been hard, just a hard fucking people, man. I guess living in Siberia will do that.
Yeah. My grandpa was on the island of Saipan as a Marine in World War II, and he rarely ever talked about what went on there. So, who knows? He was honorably discharged, though, so I guess there is that piece of evidence.
We're gonna talk about Elon since we're talking about Nazis.
What about Elon?
Well, I posted a couple of things in the Twitter group chat. If you would, ever went over there and checked that.
That does tend to be our news chat.
It's easier.
The Washington Post.
There was a Washington Post one, and then there was one before I posted the link to the show. That one was parody. It's funny. Yeah, that one is intended to be funny. Nobody ever gets the joke, but that one is a parody account that wrote that, but it is really funny.
Oh, this is
Are you-
what's her name? Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah,
Take a second.
Titania McGrath or something like that.
Elon Musk worse than Hitler. Does she runs her own like site now?
Yeah, I think so.
Is she still on Twitter?
Yeah.
Because we did find out that she or that the Twitter people do not like, or the old Twitter people don't like satire because
No,
it's
the old
funny
people-
and dangerous.
The old Twitter people don't like a lot of things.
Must take over of Twitter is far worse than anything Hitler ever did. Nice.
And this one is not satire.
No,
Yeah,
this one is satire.
This is the satire.
Oh, okay. I was like, worse than anything? Like, no way somebody can say that, right?
Well, that's the funny thing about this author, like Titania McGrath, is she's written like several books, and it's all satire, but it's all so close to that line that like if you didn't know that it was satire, you would 100% believe that this is like some crazed leftist.
It is a fine art.
It is a very fine art. There are some accounts that have just seemed to have mastered it, like her and what is it, Dr.
Claire Foster.
No,
Claire Foster,
yeah.
MD.
Claire Foster,
That one?
Dr. Claire Foster. And, yep. And MD.
And lesbian.
Yes, Anne Lesby. You get it? You get it? Yeah? No? Okay.
I get it.
My kids did not get it, and I don't understand how they didn't get it, considering their mother is a lesbian. But just right over their heads. My son tells so many fat jokes and gay jokes, and I'm like, dude, your mom is a fat lesbian. Like, how do you get away with this?
Well, that's why he's allowed to. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
it's the
so.
black friend thing, right?
Yeah. Is that how that works?
Did you guys see the chick on Bill Maher who like I don't know if she was trans or some sort of trans ally or something, and Bill Maher made it's a pretty bad joke, but made this joke about like, oh, they should have a take a penis, leave a penis program for if somebody needs a penis, and they whatever, then you can get a penis, and if somebody, is trying to get rid of their penis, and this and that. And she's like, I don't joke about stuff like that. That's not funny to me, and blah, 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 because that's somebody's, there's people who can't walk down the street as themselves without being lynched, which, of course, not really true, but this and that. And she's like crying, and Bill Maher's like, this is why you're upset and a wreck, because you can't take a joke. But she goes on to say, like, well, like, I don't have a dad or something, so I'll make, like, dead dad jokes. And, I can make those jokes because it's my trauma, but my friends who don't have dads, they might get a little weird about it, and I got to explain that, oh, no, it's okay for me to make it. And I'm like, well, then you're, like, this is the exact same thing, right? Like, right here, right? Like, okay, Bill Maher, like, I don't know, it's just, these people are just crazy. I started crying, and I don't know.
Nadia's little best friend, her mom died, and then Nadia's biological dad, his youngest child by his current wife or whatever, had died like a couple weeks after being born. So Nadia and her little best friend, Nadia makes dead mom jokes, and the best friend makes dead brother jokes. Like they go after each other all the time with this shit. Like, it's fucking hilarious. I hear some of the jokes, and I'm like, holy shit, that's awful. Y'all are sixth graders.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you can just, like, okay, like, I don't make a lot of suicide jokes just for reasons, stuff that's happened close to me. But, like, I will laugh my ass off at a good suicide joke. Like, it doesn't offend me if somebody makes a suicide joke.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
well.
It's just, yeah, I just don't make them but I don't care if somebody else does. It's just, it's I don't know, man. Get the fuck over it, people. Something's funny. I'll laugh at anything.
I cannot imagine if my kids didn't have a good sense of humor how they would survive in my house. Like,
Yeah, it probably wouldn't.
From quitting to blocking, how to protect yourself on Musk's Twitter. I think they should all just quit. Like
And this one isn't
that
satire.
would solve all of our problems. This one's not satire.
Are they going to give us bullet points? No, yeah,
No, I
sort
can't
of.
see it. You read. Give it to us.
What's no? Why take action now? Back up your tweets, delete tweets, delete your account, stop using Twitter, blah, 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 blah. That's all boring stuff.
How do we protect ourselves, Mark? Tell us.
I don't know, man. Back up your
Big-
tweets.
What does that even mean? How do you back up your tweets? Dag's driving with the windows down in
Yeah,
like
go to
heavy traffic.
settings, account, download,
Sorry.
archive, diet. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by that. Also, delete your tweets.
We talked about this the other day. I don't delete shit.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong,
I only delete cringy Facebook posts of my own past.
Yeah. There are some cringy, like, libertarian tweets that I have. That maybe I'll go back and delete, but we'll see.
like if it turns out that I was wrong about something, I'll say that I was wrong, but I'm not going to apologize to anybody unless I like specifically attack somebody over something and I was wrong. Then I'll apologize to that person. But I will not issue a blanket apology over something. I'll admit if I was wrong, but I'm not deleting anything. Like if I said it, I meant it. I'm not deleting shit. If it offends you, fuck off. You can block me.
So here's actually good advice: delete your account. Yeah, if you're taking
Yes,
a
do
Washington
that.
Post seriously, you probably should delete your account. Stop using Twitter DMs. I mean, there's an extent to which this is true also. If that really hot chick with 3 followers DMs you, she's probably not real.
I get a ton of those on Snapchat these days.
Yeah, I gotta delete Snapchat.
Yeah, me too. Like
Cindy
nonstop.
wants to be your friend. I was like, I don't know who Cindy is. Not...
Yeah, ignore. I've started to report and block all of them instead of just hitting ignore on them. Like,
You narc.
just
Here's
I'm just trying to help the next guy out.
That's kind of you. Here's the real, or they funnel down to me. Here's their real piece of advice they want you to know is be extra vigilant about misinformation. Twitter recently ended its ban on coronavirus misinformation, and Musk himself has been known to tweet misleading information, including saying kids are essentially immune to the coronavirus. I don't think that's misinformation.
And say, what misinformation were they banning? They were the stuff that they were banning was not actually misinformation. It was just stuff that they didn't agree with. Which is, I mean, that's what the Matt Taibbi whole thing basically showed was anything that the DNC doesn't agree with or doesn't like, then that's what Twitter's going to take down. I mean, that's what's coming out of the whole Arizona thing right now. That's what the Taibbi, Hunter Biden laptop, everything showed. Hopefully we're going to get some like juicy drops on what was being censored in terms of like COVID information or misinformation. Like it's gonna be fun. They didn't want they didn't want Elon to buy Twitter. It was because they were worried he was going to do some shit like this.
Did I see correctly that the main attack on Matt Taibbi and his whole releasing of the Twitter stuff is that he's covering up for a white nationalist?
Yeah,
like that was the main crux of their argument.
He's carrying water for some white supremacist or something like that.
Yeah.
That's imagine what was it? A bunch of the leftist retards were saying was that imagine being the one who's got the back of the richest man in the world or some shit. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
You said retard. Are we trying to end this early?
No, I wasn't trying
might
to.
lose y'all.
It's a word that comes out of my mouth probably too frequently.
Too often.
Yeah, but it's so apt. Like it so perfectly describes the people that we're talking about. Like, I don't need a thesaurus for this. I've already found the correct word.
It's true. It does. It fits a lot of things. Makes it so you don't have to pull out a dictionary.
Yep. Makes life easier.
Daggy got quiet there for a second.
I think he's going through like a rough spot. He's probably frozen.
Oh.
Doesn't look like his head's moving very much.
You're right.
Yeah. You know, we might ought to end this because I'm gonna hit the dead zone going. I'm gonna hit the dead zone going through the bottoms here in about 3 minutes anyway. So, what else we got going on this week? We gonna tease anything or talk about anything?
You say that like there's supposed to be something, but I don't recall.
Well, I don't recall either. I don't think we got anything going on. I think it's gonna be a pretty standard fare. So.
I got 5G for 2 seconds. If I lose y'all, bye.
Bye. Oh yeah, rural cell phone service is pretty fucking retarded.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.